Bonjour and welcome to La French Tech on Air, our European video podcast series on business and technology. In Europe, La French Tech ecosystem is made of 27 communities that are connecting to the French tech startup scene and creating a bridge to European tech movement. My name is Billy Yen. I am a board member of La French Tech Cracovie. I'll be your host and moderator for today. Our guest is Marcin Gnat, Head of Marketing at Early. Marcin, welcome.
Hi, Billy. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. So, Early is a big player in Krakow, and that's why I wanted to invite you. But first of all, let's talk about yourself, Marcin, your journey. Can you tell us a bit about your background and everything around that?
So I started professionally as a journalist. I was a cultural journalist, and I was writing about music, but ultimately I realized that journalism in a form as I loved it is changing very quickly. So I decided to make a pivot in my career, let's say for some period of time, because I very quickly realized there was a huge potential in a growing startup scene of Krakow. So my first connection with the startup world in Krakow was other successful startup from our city. It's called Brainly, the edtech platform, very successful also. And then I just focused on digital marketing, basically, and that's what I've been doing for the last almost 10 years for now. And since 3.5 years, I'm working at Early when I'm trying to repair the air around the world with my colleagues.
Yes, I saw the hashtag Repair the Air, very powerful and really big challenge in Krakow.
Yes, as you probably know, but maybe some of our listeners and viewers don't know, Krakow, the second biggest city in Poland, has a massive problem with air pollution. Mostly in the winter period when there is heating with cold stoves, been happening throughout the years. And sadly, there was a very high levels of PM pollution, the particulate matter pollution, which very severely affected our health and well-being. And the idea for Early came out pretty naturally because the three co-founders of Early, my three colleagues, Victor, Alexander, and Michał, were looking for a project that will help them to measure air pollution in real time. And they were very avid and very passionate runners. They were preparing for a marathon, which was happening in the colder period of the year in Krakow. And simply they were like thinking, what air are they breathing while they, are training in the park and somewhere near a busy road? And they couldn't find answer because there was no real-time air quality data and there was no hyper-local data, down to street level. What air am I breathing just behind the window? When I go out. So they decided to build devices, air quality sensors, with the help of their professors and of course the whole environment of the AGH University of Krakow, and they built sensors, the small sensors that were able to measure air pollution. And as they started to roll out this project, it was kind of the first step was kind of a crowdsourcing action to spread hundreds of these devices to people all around Krakow, and there were a lot of volunteers that wanted to do so because a lot of people were very concerned about air pollution at that time. Of course, it was not only about the equipment, but also about the software tools, what I mean by that is there was also an air quality map everyone can access for free, and also an air quality app when you can check air quality in real time. So as this project started to gain some interest among Krakowians, there was it became really viral. People in Krakow started to discuss about it because they were looking for some kind of aid and some kind of understanding what air are they breathing. And very quickly, this snowball started to roll across other cities in Poland and then other cities in Europe, etc.
That's an amazing snowball. And we're really grateful for the work you're doing. And you tell us about the story, and I think it's really interesting story. We mentioned it earlier. We had an episode with WebJKK who also talked about you, and a lot of companies are mentioning Airly every time we talk about the Krakow ecosystem. So we really are following the success of Airly. You told us about the origin. Where is Airly now?
Well, Airly is in a very interesting moment of our actually history because right now our sensors measure air pollution in over 40 countries around the world, and there are very different countries. Of course, there are many countries in Europe, but also in other continents. I mean, in Africa, in Asia, South America, North America, everywhere people face the same problem, the air pollution. According to the WHO, 9 out of 10 people around the world breathe polluted air. Of course, the pollutants are sometimes different. Maybe this is a topic for longer discussion, but definitely in general, we breathe polluted air all around the world. And sometimes we are quite surprised that people in places, distant from Poland, like, I don't know, Indonesia or maybe New Zealand recently, or Ecuador, Chile, face the same problem. And our solution, which was created here in Krakow, is perfectly scalable in their environment. So this is like an amazing stuff because we created something that matters and which actually works and helps the people. So that gives a huge boost for us as a people and motivates us every day. So going back to your question, where are we at? We are in an interesting moment because like in the air quality monitoring industry, let's call it. Of course, we have some kind of competitors which also are looking for the best solutions. And there is like no clear leader in this industry, I would say. And we just hope that we will be the first choice for every person in the world. But of course, we appreciate also the other people who work on similar solutions, and we fight for attention of the people. We fight to be recognized by councils all around the world, by businesses all around the world who want to cooperate with us, and convince them that we are the best solution on the market and the best solution possible. So this is our battle, yes, and this is a fascinating thing because, as I said, it is a very highly discussed topic right now, and a lot of people are interested in that nowadays.
It's really something that it's everyone is interested, as you mentioned. Everywhere in the globe we have the same problem. So I believe that this is something that a lot of people can identify. Now I want to ask, what kind of client does Airly serve?
Yes, so basically we are focused on 3 types of clients, let's call it. The first of them are the councils. And why we actually target the councils? Because we believe that this is a kind of partner that helps us to actually take some action and solve the problem. So we are cooperating with, I think, 300 or 400 councils all around the world. And the normally it is like that they decide to start air quality monitoring network in their city, and they provide their citizens current data on air pollution. But also we added to that our air quality monitoring platform, which I like to compare it to Google Analytics because this is like my comparison. So like if a council is interested in a more thorough view of the air pollution in the city, to understand the sources of pollution, they can access our platform and measure it day by day and understand what is the exact reason of air pollution. This helps to take some actions, and eventually helping the cities to improve the air pollution, the air quality. A great example is also Krakow. where there is a lot of air quality sensors, and of course, I believe one of also our sensors were a factor for our city to decide to roll out a solid fuel ban in 2019, I think. And eventually this led to improvement of air pollution overall. And why did it happen? The air quality, of course, because they understood that the main reason for heavy air pollution in Krakow was heating houses with solid fuels, with bad quality coal, with sometimes even rubbish, And as this became banned, significantly the air quality in the city has improved and is visible in our map. Second type of clients are enterprise clients, the businesses all around the world of various types that want to, for example, launch an air quality network to provide their clients some kind of added value. Sometimes it is a kind of a CSR campaign of a company to show that they care about the clients, not only by earning the money, but also giving some kind of support for the community they live in. Sometimes it is also helpful, for the ESG matters. Sometimes to encourage the people to go back to the office. I mean, because as you are measuring air pollution in the office, you can give your employees the information and maybe take care of them by using also air purifiers. And the third type of our clients is the communities. I mean, people like you and me, when you decide that you want to do something and you feel that air pollution is a problem in your living area, actually the first step belongs to you. So you could either start decide to have your sensor on your own and start to measure it in your apartment or outside your apartment or your home, or maybe start a local community to fight for cleaner air in the place where you live by starting a network of sensors. So this is the three types of groups we normally target: the governments, the local governments, the businesses, and the communities.
And let's say that, I don't know, a community or citizens identify a problem with air pollution. So what's the typical action that they perform after that to fix that problem?
Yes, so there were various situations like that. So normally they reach out to us and ask what can they do, because they feel that something is wrong. So basically they reach out to us, that we provide the sensors. Of course, there are multiple ways to, have it. There are sometimes local business that decides to buy a network of sensors. Sometimes the local authorities step in and help to provide the sensors. It could go various ways. So sometimes it is like a crowdfunding. Yeah, so people raise the money for starting a network and measure it. And once they start to measure it, and it's becoming obvious that there is a problem, and it's data-based, it is very easy to go to the local media and show this, or even go directly to the authorities and show them the data and explain that this is the problem, and we are almost sure that this is the reason why it's so polluted and why we are breathing so badly. And this is a kind of a pressure you can have on the authorities to do something. And we had multiple situations like that. Recently, I remember a situation from one man living in the Polish seaside near the Baltic Sea. He moved from bigger city, I think from Gdańsk, to some smaller city to breathe cleaner air. And once he realized he moved there, he realized that he has a neighbor that is heating his house with everything he has, with the rubbish, with some materials that pollute very severely his home. And he was helpless because the local authorities did nothing at all. They wanted to hide the problem under the rug. But he reached out to us. We provide them the sensors. He recorded the 24 hours of pollution, and what it turned out, there are some peaks in the times where particularly this neighbor goes back to his home and starts to heat the house. And once he had a hard data on this, and we helped him to provide the data, the analysis, the progress over 24 hours. He just went to the local council and showed them the data. Of course, he also showed it to the local media, and the local authorities ultimately, realized that this is a real problem and decide to help him by informing this neighbor that he should change his behavior, and also decided that they should start monitoring air pollution on a bigger scale. So this is a example of a one person, but this sometimes also refers to certain communities. Like, for example, there is a community, some kind of neighborhood that feels severely affected by some local factory, for example. So what can I do? What can I do when, for example, the local authorities don't want to discuss this problem? They want to hide it because they are interested in keeping this business in their town or in their city. Yes. So there is a huge power also in us as individuals and as local communities to also fight the problem of air pollution.
Exactly. I think it's everyone's problem. And you mentioned earlier the cause that could be, for instance, for heating during winter. What is I don't know if there is some typical pattern or anything, but around the world, what do you see the main factors of air pollution?
Yes, so there are various types of air pollution, simply explaining, in Poland or Central Europe, basically, the biggest reason for air pollution is the particulate matter, the PM2.5 and PM10, when it is a result of combustion of solid fuels, sometimes combustion coming out of our vehicles also. And this mostly happens in the colder period of the year when we start to heat our houses, and want to stay warm. And I also like to say a bit more that probably this season will be very hard. As all of us know, there is a huge problem with energy in Europe. We hear from many places that not only the poorer countries in Europe, but also the richer ones, for instance, Netherlands or Austria, are going back to coal stoves sometimes to provide warmth to their houses and save money. So this might be unfortunately a comeback of bad air all around Europe, and we are monitoring it all the time. But I want to go back also to other types of pollution. For example, normally in Western Europe, there is a opposite problem. Let's call it with air pollution, because they suffer a problem with the heavy pollution of NO2 or O3, which are gas pollutants. Sometimes they are the result of the fuel combustion, the diesel combustion in the cars, mixed with heavy sunlight. So we also suffer from this in the warmer period of the year. And this is a type of pollution that heavily affects our breathing, our lung function, and is very hard, for example, for people suffering from asthma. So this is two types of pollution I mentioned, but also, unfortunately, in the much poorer countries, in other parts of the world, there are places when there is a huge density of people living in the same place. At the same time, they want to heat their houses or whatever. So they burn whatever they can. So that's the reason why in places like India, China, or Mongolia, for example, there is a massive problem with air pollution.
I mean, what you're doing, guys, it's really for general utility. So, we follow the hashtag repair the air. Now, what I want to know also, because we talk about the problem, so the reason of early and the why, you mentioned it earlier. Now I want to understand the growth. So as a head of marketing, how do you see the growth of early as a company itself?
Well, I mean, this thing that helps us to, be recognized is the fact that, as I said, air pollution is a very hot topic nowadays. Unfortunately, for one reason, yes, but for example, for us, for our reason of being is, of course, good thing because we feel that we are necessary, that solutions like ours are needed. What helps us is that, of course, the result of having such a big network of sensors all around the world, and we count over 5,000 sensors around the world by early. It's also this also provides a lot of data coming from our sensors. So we are not only like a hardware company or a software company, but we are also a data science company, because this kind of a rich, in-depth data, and also the ability to interpret it, analyze it, because we also have a data science team, which is personally, I believe is a world-class team. So we are able to, to interpret, analyze the data, and explain what is happening, what is the reason for it, and what could be results of it. And going further, this type of data and this type of historical record of the data, because it's not only about producing a solution that will work the same way, but we also have like a background data which helps us to also have an AI based air quality forecast, yes, which is also one of our key selling propositions. This data is a huge value, and for example, big media all around the world very often cooperate with us, and we can boast in cooperations with top media like Financial Times, Euronews, I don't know, Daily Mail, or other media. CNN, for example, published our data. So you see that there are huge global media outlets which use our data, and this helps us to gain recognition and to show people that there is a company that helps to provide some kind of a data. So this definitely helps. We also are looking all around the world for some kind of actions that have a big impact on the society. So, for example, a good idea that we are very happy and proud of is our action called Let Schools Breathe, when we gave a number of sensors to school in certain countries. Firstly, it was UK, then there was US, then it was also Romania. And the reason for it is that, of course, air pollution is also a huge problem for school kids. And we wanted to do, two things to provide the school communities, the parents, the children themselves and their teachers, and information on what air are they breathing, but also at the same time to educate the youths about how important that is, and hope that maybe this younger generation, that the teenagers and the kids nowadays will be smarter than our generations, and will kick off the habits that we have when it comes to heating the houses, and maybe even educate their parents or grandparents that they shouldn't do something because it's bad for their health also. So definitely the reason why this mission of ours is so demanded nowadays helps us to create some kind of actions that have a big response outside. So yes, so I would say that this is the beauty of working in marketing at Early, is that you can create a very audacious campaigns all around the world that help people indeed, and at the same time, they bring value to everyone. So we are looking for some kind of actions that have big social impact.
So before wrapping up this episode, I want to ask Marcin, so what's the next step for Early?
Well, I think this is going to be an exceptionally interesting season when it comes to air pollution monitoring. And unfortunately, also for bad reasons, because we are all humans. We are all breathing this air. So it's not only about, providing the solutions to measure air pollution, but we as humans, we need to protect ourselves. And what I mean by that, as I talked before, there is a massive concern about energy in Europe. There is a massive concern about, the gas supplies in Europe and finding clean, green solutions to, measure, to heat our houses in the winter season. And speaking about that, I'm curious which way it will go, actually, because maybe just like we had with this Oder River disaster in Poland nowadays, maybe it will turn out to a scenario that the officials will want to hide the problem under the rug, not saying about this pollution, and the local community will react and push them to spread information about what is happening. Or maybe there will be a positive scenario, like the local governments, the businesses around the world will realize that there is no way back and we need to monitor air pollution when there is a threat that we will go back to coal or heating our houses with even worse things. And we should be informed, because as we learned also through the pandemic, health is something most important in life, and there is no health, there is nothing. So definitely we need to keep an eye on it. And now I have to tell you, I'm very curious, but I think it's going to be a very important period. I hope as a communities all around Europe, we were going to face it with dignity and with hope for helping people to breathe safely. Also, and I'm sure definitely that we are ready to provide every council all around the world, every community all around the world, the best tools they have. You can use our sensors, you can have our tools to spread the information about air pollution. Also, we have our air quality, air early data platform to provide more in-depth data. So we are prepared to help every community, every council around the world, and we are looking forward to help you prepare the air with us.
I'm looking at your t-shirt and it says Bienvenue dans le monde de demain. It means, for those of you who don't speak, unfortunately, French, welcome to the world of tomorrow. So I want to know, what's tomorrow? What's the next step for Early?
Wow, so with this t-shirt, this lovely t-shirt, is a total coincidence, I have to tell you, but maybe it's for a reason. Maybe that was supposed to be like that. So what's next for Early? I think next step for Early is to definitely roll out our early data platform globally, because we believe that this is another absolutely another level understanding of air pollution data, because simply with that you don't only receive air pollution data like you have now in your particular location, but it helps you also to understand the reasons for air pollution, to understand when are the peaks of pollution happening, understand in what periods of day, month, or year the peaks are happening, and what are the sources of air pollution in your particular area. Because basically we are not only about informing people about air pollution, we are also, our goal is to also help them to take the right actions to solve air pollution problems, and then check if these actions has made a satisfying result. So basically we are not there to only tell you what air are you breathing, but we are really there to help you to repair the air. And it's up to you, like the local community, the local council, like this next step is to you, right? As we all see, this is a very interesting period. Like last year also, WHO has published a new, more strict norms for air pollution. Right now, and probably as this podcast will be published, because in the beginning of September, we will roll out this new WHO index as probably first, or at least one of the first tools in the world to measure air pollution based on these thresholds by WHO. And what does it mean? Well, it's a crucial information because, I mean, the people all around the world, every stakeholder interested in air pollution is interested in measuring air pollution in these new norms, because these new norms were based on a study which has shown that air pollution affects us even more than we thought, and it affects us not only by the first thing that came to our minds. I know, our heart problems or lung problems, but it also affects, I mean, the mental diseases. I mean, like exacerbations of depression or just bad bad mental feeling, like all of that. So it's also another context that we didn't know before. And I think it's also going to be a very important information, because like there is a huge demand we receive from all stakeholders around the world that they need to measure air pollution in this new WHO standards. And I'm very curious how the situation in this heating season will happen, with not only in Poland but in Europe and in the world. But we are sure we are there to provide every person and every community or council concerned about air pollution the best tools they can get.
Yes, thank you. And citizen, remember, the power is in your hands. So check out with early how you can help. That was a really passionating topic and discussion with you, Marcin. Thank you again for this discussion. We really enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Billy.
Yes, and thank you also for all of you guys who watch or listen to this episode. This video is available on YouTube and on LinkedIn, as all of the other episodes of La French Tech on Air. The audio only are available on all the global podcast platforms. Follow us to be updated on the next episode. Follow early to see what's happening next winter. That's all for me. Thank you very much. See you soon. À bientôt.